Hey, what's up everyone? It's me, Ron again, and welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're going to continue the discussion on how to apply for the visa process to Australia as an aeronautical engineer or as an aircraft maintenance engineer. So if you're interested in that topic, stick around and I'll teach you how. But before we proceed, if you're new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button and click that notification bell as well, so you won't miss any future videos that is related to this topic. Please share these videos to your friends, families, and colleagues so we can help a lot of people understand the process on how to migrate to Australia, so they can make an informed decision if they wish to work in Australia. Basically, there are two ways to live, work, and migrate to Australia. The first one is to find an Australian employer that is willing to sponsor your work visa or migration to Australia. This type of visa sponsorship is called a business sponsored visa. This is often intended for applicants that have specialized skill set that are not readily available in a local Australian market. Majority of the Filipino aviation community that I know migrated using this type of visa during the days that there was an influx of demand for AMEs in Australia. However, as I mentioned before, this visa has a lot of disadvantages, both for employees and employers as well. For employers, for example, they need to pay the additional cost of migration to and out of Australia and pay for all the associated costs. And in addition, employers need to pay the Australian government the training levy fee as a contribution for the training of Australian residents. However, if you're lucky to find an employer that is willing to sponsor your visa, I strongly recommend that you take it and then process your permanent visa as soon as you can. If you're interested in that and want to know where you can find work, I will save the link of the job search website that we use in Australia in the description box below. The second way is to apply for the visa on your own, then find a job locally once you arrive in Australia. This pathway is called the skilled immigrant pathway, wherein you will do all the processes and pay for all the associated costs. And if approved, you can stay, work, and live in Australia indefinitely and become a citizen. There are several visa types that you can apply depending on your individual circumstances. There is a visa for training, for permanent resident, or for a temporary visa that do not have any employment restrictions compared to a business visa. I will explain that in my future videos as well. The skilled immigration process is similar to the immigration pathway in countries like New Zealand or Canada. So if you have family living in those countries, I suggest you look for opportunities in those countries. So let's now look at the process. The process on the website is very concise. I expanded the process as this is the actual steps that you will do. I will explain the entire process step by step so you won't be confused. So to apply for the skilled immigrant pathway, the first thing that you need to do is to check if your skills belongs to the skilled occupation list or SOL. This is a list of all the skills that are in demand in Australia, wherein Australia is opening its door for migration. This list comes from the Australian Government Bureau of Statistics and is based from the statistical job demand in a country or state. So to do this, you need to go through the Australian Government Department of Home Affairs, Immigration and Citizenship website. I will save the link of this website and all the resources that I've used on this video on the YouTube description box below. So after getting into this website, you need to go through this legislative instrument and download the skilled occupation list. So let's click on that. So once the website open up, you need to go to this row, the skilled nominated visa, and look at the legislative instrument column, which is this specification of occupation and assessing authorities. Click on that, then it will open up the instrument. This is the list of all the occupation that is in demand in Australia. Then find out your nominated occupation. So we need to do this because it's important, although we know already that the AME and Aeronautical Engineer is within this list. It is important because your partner or friends or family may be in this occupation list that may be useful for them if they want to migrate to Australia, as well as the process are common. The only difference is the assessing authority. So you have here, for example, the medium and long strategic skill list, wherein there are many occupation listed here. So you have this item number, and column 1 will be the occupation. Column 2 will be the ANSAC code or the job code for each individual occupation, and column 3 will be the assessing authority. The assessing authority is the organization that will assess your educational background and experience if it is comparable to the Australian standard. So take a look at this list and be familiar with it. This list is quite useful on the partner's occupation. We are going to discuss that in detail later on. But for now, we're going to take a look at the Aeronautical Engineer, which is item number 43, and the ANSAC code is 233911, and the assessing authority is Engineers Australia. Then the next one is the Aircraft Maintenance Engineer. So it belongs to the short-term skilled occupation list. So it's item number 153, 54, and 155. So Aircraft Maintenance Engineer. The Aircraft Maintenance Engineer has 3 job trade, which are the avionics, the mechanical, and the structures. And each individual trade or category has different job codes. So take note of that one, because you would need that when you're applying for the visa already. And the assessing authority are common, which is TRA or the Trade Recognition Australia. So once you know that, you need to go back to the website again, the skilled occupation list website. Let's go back to that one and type in your nominated occupation. For example, aircraft maintenance engineer. Click search, and it will display all the information and the relevant visa that you can apply for. Again, it will list the occupation, aircraft maintenance engineer, avionics, mechanical, and structures. Let's go back up again. So ANSAC code also, as mentioned earlier, it varies, or they are different depending on the trade, and the visa are listed here. These are all the list of the visa that you can apply. And again, the Trade Recognition Australia. I will discuss each individual visa later on, but for now, take note that you can, for AME, can only apply for this set of visa. Now, let's take a look at the Aeronautical Engineer. Again, so it will display all the relevant information for the Aeronautical Engineer. So the occupation is Aeronautical Engineer, the ANSAC code or the job code is here, and you have a lot more visa options here, and the assessing authority is Engineers Australia. So now let's take a look at the job description of Aeronautical Engineer and Aircraft Maintenance Engineer. So Aeronautical Engineer, the job description of Aeronautical Engineer, perform supervised engineering work concerning the design, development, manufacture, maintenance, modification of aircraft for flight. So registration or licensing may be required. So let's translate that description into organization. So design and development will be an EASA Part 21J, and manufacture will be an EASA Part 21G. Maintenance will be an EASA Part M, and modification as well. So maintenance and modification is part of practice of aeronautical engineer. So what that means is if you work for an OEM or original equipment manufacturer, or if you work for an airline, an MRO, or you're employed by a training organization, as long as you provide engineering services you are qualified to apply for the Aeronautical Engineer. The Aeronautical Engineer has 3 levels of qualification based on the level of competencies and educational background that underpins their skills. These 3 levels are as follows. First one is the professional engineer or the licensed engineer. So these are graduates of any 4 years bachelor's degree in engineering. To qualify for this competency, you need to be a PRC licensed engineer. Second one is engineering technologies. These are graduates of any 3 years Bachelor of Technology in Engineering. This level can be used by non-licensed Bachelor of Science in Aeronautical Engineering graduates or Bachelor of Science in Aircraft Maintenance Technology, Bachelor of Science in Avionics Technology, and Bachelor of Science in Aviation Technology. And the third one is the Associate Engineer. These are graduates of any 2 years Diploma in Engineering. So this category can be used by associate degree in aircraft maintenance technology. However, I recommend that if you completed the 2-year degree course, you take the alternate pathway, which is the Cert 4 in Aero Skills, as the recognition pathways is less complex than the engineering associate through Engineers Australia. This engineering qualification is, however, equivalent to an EASA B1 or B2 licensed aircraft maintenance engineer. I will explain that more when we get to the educational qualification and the assessment pathway. Let's now go to the aircraft maintenance engineer. So the aircraft maintenance engineer, the job description is maintain and repair aircraft structures and avionics and mechanical system. So these are the 3 trades. So indicative skill level will be commensurate with the qualification and experience outlined below. The skill level be AQF. So this is the qualification that you need if you intend to work in Australia as an aircraft maintenance engineer. And the ANSA code is skill level 3. So it has the lowest level of skills. So aircraft maintenance engineer job includes the dismantling, inspecting, testing, and so forth. It is listed here. So you can actually just read that. If you're performing these services, then you're qualified to apply for the aircraft maintenance engineer qualification. Just to clarify as well, the aircraft maintenance engineer qualification, the AQF Cert 4, is equivalent to a TESDA certificate in the Philippines. So it's a trade certificate, not a bachelor's degree and not a diploma. So take note of that. I will be focusing more on this process as this is the easiest process compared to the aeronautical engineering, wherein AME can also apply depending on their educational background and number of years of education. Now let's take a look at the second step, which is estimate your points based on the scoring criteria. The second step is to check if you will qualify for the Skilled Immigrant Visa. The Skilled Immigrant Visa pathway is a point-based system, and there are 11 criteria wherein you can get points. To be eligible for a Skilled Immigrant pathway, you need to have a total point of 65. I will explain each criteria, but I will focus more on the 6 criteria, which is the age, English skills, skilled experience, educational qualification, partner skills, and nomination. So the first criteria is the age. This table shows the points that you can get based on the age bracket at the time of the application. Note that the highest point and the best time to apply is at the age of 25 to 33. I call this age bracket the prime years. The maximum age that you can apply for the visa is before you reach your 45th birthday. After that, you can no longer apply anymore. So the next criteria is the English language skills. The English language skills, the higher your English proficiency, the higher your points. The English language proficiency skill is the score that you will get after you're taking the English language test. The higher your English proficiency, the higher the points that you can get. There are several English tests that you can take, and the details are in the website. But for this example, the most common one is the IELTS test, and the points table is shown below. The IELTS test is composed of 4 bands, which are the reading, writing, speaking, and listening. To claim points, you need to score at least 6 on each band to get a competent English proficiency. Then at least 7 for proficient and 8 for superior English competency. The next category is the skilled employment experience. The skilled employment experience is divided into two subcategories. The first one is overseas skilled employment, or your employment if you're outside Australia. And the second one is the Australian skilled employment if you have work experience within Australia. The next category is educational qualification, and the points table is shown below. Note that the higher your educational qualification, the higher your points. For bachelor's degree, such as aeronautical engineers or aeronautical engineering graduate, or for those with 4 years degree course in avionics, 4 years degree course in aircraft maintenance technology, aviation technology, or any other engineering and related courses, you need to get your qualification assessed and recognized by Engineers Australia. However, I recommend that if you work as an AME or as an aircraft maintenance engineer, it is better to have dual recognition of your bachelor's degree and get the certificate for as well. This will help you get the maximum points and will give you a higher probability of getting the visa as you have more qualification. If you are an aircraft mechanic, avionics specialist with 2 years degree course, usually a diploma course, you need to go through Trade Recognition Australia, and they will engage with a recognized training organization to assist you with your assessment process. The next criteria is the partner skills. If your partner has a skill set that belongs to the skilled occupation list and also has a positive outcome from the assessing authorities plus a competent English, you will get 10 points. So this is the reason why it's important that you take note and be familiar with the skill occupation list, as your partner may be able to help you with your overall score. Now let's do a visa points calculator using a hypothetical person. So for example, I wanted to know if I would qualify for a 189 visa. I would just go into this website and follow the steps. So let's say, for example, I'm applying for a 189 visa, which is a skilled independent visa. So I'll just click that 189 visa, 189 skilled independent visa, located here. Click that one. Then I'll just select my age. For example, my age would be, at the time of the application, would be 33 but less than 40. I will select this. Then on my English test, I would always put in the lowest English qualification or rating first in here. So let's just say that my English competency is competent. It means that my English result is 6 in all 4 categories. So I will be competent. The next one is the skilled employment experience. So overseas experience, it means that your experience is outside Australia. So I'll just hypothetically say that I have at least 8 years of experience. And Australian skilled employment, I'll just say I don't have any experience because I'm not in Australia. So I'll just click less than 1 year. However, if you're in Australia and you have Australian experience, you can actually claim that, provided that it is verified by the assessing authority as a related experience, or it's an experience related to your occupation. So what is your highest educational qualification? Let's say I have a bachelor's degree in aircraft maintenance technology, or I am a aeronautical engineering graduate, licensed or unlicensed. I'll just click at least bachelor's degree from Australian educational institution, or at least bachelor's qualification from another educational institution that is of a recognized standard. It means that I passed the recognition from the assessing authority. If you're going for a bachelor's degree, then it needs to be Engineers Australia. If you're just wanted to go for your aircraft maintenance engineer, then that would be a TRA, and that will be in here. That will be this one: attain qualification or award recognized by the relevant assessing authority for your nominated skills occupation as being suitable for that occupation. So AME, that will be a TRA, and bachelor's degree will be Engineers Australia. So you click on that. So I'll just click here that I have a recognized bachelor's degree. This is just for the points estimates. So Australian study requirements. So if you study in Australia, you can claim points. So let's just say that I didn't study in Australia. I'm still overseas, so I'll just click no. Specialist education will be the same if I did a master's degree or doctorate degree from an Australian educational institution that includes at least 2 years academic years in relevant field. So I'm overseas, so I would say no. Credential community language means I'm an authorized or recognized translator, and I have been assessed by the National Accreditation Authority for translator and interpreter. So I'm not, so I'll just click no. Study in regional Australia. So if I study again in Australia and it belongs to the regional postcode, then you can claim points. However, let's just say I'm overseas and I also didn't study in regional Australia as well, so I'll just click no. And partner skills. So the first one, as I mentioned earlier, the partner skills, if your partner is within that skilled occupation list and has a positive assessment outcome from the relevant assessing authority based on their nominated occupation and has been recognized by the assessing authority, you can also claim points on that. So let's say that my partner is not within the SOL and she doesn't have the skills that is in demand in Australia. However, she passed the English test as well, which is confident in English. So I'll just click this one. Then professional year in Australia, since hypothetically I'm not in Australia as well, I'm overseas, so I'll just click, and I didn't do a professional year in Australia, I'll just click no. So the total points that I have would be 60 points. Only means I only need 5 points more. So the strategy for this one would be, it's either I'll just go back to the IELTS test and I just need a higher English test points, which is so proficient in English means I need 7 points in all categories of the IELTS test. Let's change that English language proficiency to proficient, and you will see I already have a 70 points. So I already passed the minimum requirements, which is 65 points. On the other hand, if you don't want to take the IELTS test or you can't pass the IELTS proficiency examination or you can't pass the score of 7, then all you need to do is apply for another visa. So let's say, for example, I can't pass the proficient English test, which is band 7. So I'll just click competent. So my score would be 60. So all I need to do is do the same step and I'll just apply for the skilled nominated visa, wherein I get additional points for the nomination, state nomination. Then on the nomination, I will just click yes. So 65 points. And now that's it. Since I know my basic score and which educational pathway I need to take and how much IELTS score I need, then I can build up my strategy and plan my course of action, whether I'm going to take up the bachelor's degree assessment or just continue with the Trade Recognition Australia assessment. So give it a go, try it, and let me know what is your score. So you see, the practice of aeronautical engineering involves 3 levels based on the skills and competencies for each level. These 3 levels are in accordance with 3 international accords, which are the Washington Accord, the Sydney Accord, the Dublin Accord, wherein graduates from these contracting states will get full recognition of their engineering or technologist qualification automatically. I will explain this further on the recognition pathway for your degree. So it doesn't really matter what position you occupy as long as you provide engineering services and you solve real-world problems in the most efficient and economical way. And if you apply science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and use engineering judgment to solve those problems, then that means that you are providing engineering services. You can be a dispatcher assessing NOTAMs or notification to airman, or any operational rules or limitation in your day-to-day activities, or you can be a cargo officer doing aircraft cargo loads calculation and recording your analysis on the trim sheets. Then you are also providing engineering services. You can be a planner or a controller or even a purchaser. As long as you can justify that you are providing engineering services, then you can be in the practice of aeronautical engineering. If you wish to get your degree recognized, I strongly suggest that you contact the Society of Aerospace Engineers of the Philippines, as your practice belongs to the aeronautical engineering and you would need them especially for your continuous professional development or CPD, which is a requirement for your profession as described in the Migration Skills Assessment of Engineers Australia. Their email address is on the YouTube description box below. Note that I am not an officer of the organization. I would also like to invite you to join the Society of Aerospace Engineers of the Philippines Facebook page, the official Facebook page of the organization, and the Philippine Aeronautical Engineers page, which I created. The Philippine Aeronautical Engineers page already has the advanced copy of the material that is needed for Engineers Australia's recognition process. And I will further include further documents that can assist you in that process. You will understand more of this when we discuss the recognition pathway for your degree. So before we even come to that, do your part and join the Society of Aerospace Engineers of the Philippines organization, and you will need that later on. The organization is already in the process of creating a framework for all engineers, technologists, and associate engineers, and are in the process of harmonizing the recognition pathway based on the 3 international accords, wherein if they are successful, future graduates will be automatically recognized in Australia and other countries that are members of the accord. The industry needs you. There is strength in numbers. So do this for your family, sons, daughters, nephews, and for all the future graduates and aspiring engineers of the Philippines, so it won't be hard for them in the future. We need more experts in the industry to be more competitive.